This is the Bar Stewards Inquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry Weekend Podcast, where, despite the racing not being at the very pinnacle of this elite sport, we're going to hopefully make it better for you with some winners across the board, as we've been in blistering form recently, and we're going to hopefully continue that. So joining me this evening is my usual cohort, Jonas Lang, Andy Richmond and Jack Veach. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Evening all.
Buona stente.
That's the fascia. John's quote in there. Great clip there.
Scorchio then, John.
Scorchio. El Scorchio. The weekend indeed. Yes, blazing temperatures everywhere, which only means one thing. Overzealous clerks. Their watering cans tend to fuck it all up. But anyway, we'll do our very best. So we'll on to the best bets round, where this is the 3-point, 2-point, 1-point bets. We start with the 1-point bets, which is our weakest selection of the weekend. And Andy, it's been a couple of weeks since you've been on the show, so kick us off.
Okie dokie. I'm going to Haydock, but not on the straight course. We don't trust them. Right, we're going to go with. I've got to get the time. There's a 2:25. It is on the telly box, so it'll save me saying anything later. Horse called Dark Pine. He is, for those who follow, who are Patreon subscribers and do read the old B2B column, which is a new one coming up. I've been a bit slack this week, but there's a new one coming up. But Dark Pine ran a really good race at Chester last time out in a 1.2 mile handicap, which was run at a very stop-start gallop. He was one of the very few in the race who ran the final furlong in actually under 13 seconds. In fact, he dipped under that marker for the last 2 furlongs, which few did. A winner of a handicap at the Chester meeting in 2021 off a £3 higher mark. He actually went off a 25-1 chance. I thought he ran a really good race here, and this doesn't look a great handicap, to be honest with you. I was surprised. I looked earlier on, and I saw he was about 8-1. I think he should be a lot shorter than that. I thought he should be about a 9-2, 5-1 chance here. He's not had many attempts on turf. Laura Pearson, who rides him very well, is back on. In fact, she rode him to his last win. That was at Chester last year. He's run fairly well since. I think he's got a decent chance in this at Haydock, so I'll have a point on Dark Pine.
Good stuff. 10-1, Andy, with Paddy's and Betfair. Yeah, excellent. And you get the 4 pegs as well. Are you having win there?
No, I'm just win. I'm not
on the note. Yeah.
No, we're going. If anybody did, I'll tell you what, 10-1 with 4 pegs is not a bad each way play. If you want to go that way.
And so that's 10-1 for Andy. And Nick Davis, if you are a patron, you'll obviously know that Nick Davis has tipped one in this. If you're not, pay your £7 and find out what Davis has tipped. But Nick Davis said that Dark Pine is the danger to his selection in that race. So it's interesting that Andy also goes with Dark Pine, which was also in his column, which I believe will be up this weekend sometime, Andy.
Yeah, I'll be writing it tonight. I've been a bit snowed under this week, so
no
I've got National Hunt stuff out the way, where I seem to be rather negative about everything this week, but plenty of hounds in there this week. One of them who collapsed this afternoon at the third last, Rock and Bowler. He's a real hound. Yes. I have got a column in mind called Hounds of Hell.
with all the bad uns in the game.
with all the bad eggs in.
Yeah. Right, thanks for kicking us off. Dark Pine for Andy in the 2:25. Haddock. Jack Beach.
Yeah, also heading to Haddock for my sins. We're looking over at the 4:10, and it's a horse that I've put up previously. Actually, I put him up on the Craven podcast. Been a little bit underwhelming actually on the 2 starts he's had since his promising enough third behind Cicero's Gift and John's Docklands, which I still rate as decent form. And that the horse in question, is Bacento, went off 11-8 fav that day, so was clearly well fancied, but didn't quite put in his best work. work. Since then, a couple of mediocre efforts on good to soft and soft ground. Obviously, we'll wait to see what Kirkland's got in store for us, but I'm hoping that we're at least looking at a decent side of good ground here tomorrow, and I think that'll see some improvement for him. And I think the mark of 82 is certainly workable. I think this looks a decent enough race for him. Likes to go forward, should be fine from stall 1, and I think it's very much last chance saloon, but I'm giving him one more go. Bacento 1 point win.
Indeed, that form at Wolverhampton sticks out like a
sore thumb.
Yeah, like I was going to say something revolting them. Anyway. Use your imagination. 4-1 generally available for Jack to kick his 3 best bets off. So thank you, Jack, for that Bacento. Certainly an interesting runner on that Wolves run for sure. Jonas?
Andy makes a good point about the dangers of the straight track at Haydock, and obviously you'd have to be a complete fucking idiot to bother with that tomorrow. So, obviously my first bet's in the 115 at Haydock over
Sorry.
And I'm siding with the habitually unlucky Corker. He will definitely beat Regional here. Definitely. Irrespective of where they finish, he will beat Regional tomorrow. He really caught the eye at the price last night, I thought, because Regional was half the price. And when I watched that York race back, when Corker got smashed sideways coming out the 8th, there's absolutely no way Regional can beat him on this track. He couldn't have had a better track position or anything. And as I say, Corker had everything against him. And then he was coming home over the top of them. Fine Wine is stalled next to him. He's a blaster. Probably the pace in the race. So I'm overcoming my draw fears there with that. And I think 14 days off will leave Mondam Edge probably needing it. So
big holiday for him.
Yeah, so I'm going 1 point win on Corker.
Brilliant, John. I absolutely love that analysis you've just given. So that's Corker for John. Get price we can give him. We give him 10s. Bet Victor, Coral, and Bet UK. Who are they? Who they? Corker for John for a 1 point win, John. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I found the racing that's atrocious on Saturday, so a lot of my stuff is sort of weird. We've got a Navan on Sunday. Not that Navan's that weird, but it's a weird bet to start us off. But I felt there was a good one here. Interesting that in the 440 race, the Premier Handicap, Ryan Moore booked for the Aidan O'Brien train Canute. Very interesting run of this because they ran it over a mile, stepped up to a mile and 2. It's by Quality Road out of Galileo Mare, Alice Springs, which a lot of you will know. A very good filly. She won the Matron? Yeah, the Matron over a mile. It's hard to say that this would be an out-and-out stayer, but it definitely didn't want the 7 furlongs that they dropped Canute to last time, which was a strange move because all Canute did, well, we're an unlucky loser, really, sort of no gaps, ploughing through late, shaped ever so well, and being dropped, and amazingly, £2 for that. So that's an absolute gift. I don't think it might not be much of a price now Ryan's on, but the significance is that Ryan obviously is in the saddle. I think that is significant. I think this is D-Day for Canute, and if it can't win that off 82, I think the lads will be very disappointed. So, yeah, 1 point win at a fair price, like we do. So a fair price. I don't know what price it'll be, but that kicks us off with round 1 with Canute on Sunday. John, I'll whiz it straight back round to you for your 2-pointer.
225 at Haydock. What are you looking at?
You started the show and said to me that you weren't going to play there. Terrible.
I lied. The horse in question, I was going to say friend of the show, but I don't know whether he's a friend of the show, really. Brian Ellison's One Smooth Operator. I was looking at the betting for this, and Cumulonimbus beat an absolute ghost last time out, I thought. And it's too short for me to consider here. Whereas I thought One Smooth Operator ran a cracker in what looked a fair Braveheart Stakes last time at Hamilton. Finished his race off really well. I fancy him to reverse the form with the winner that night. And I think he's a pretty solid each-way poke in this, 1 point each way.
10-1 generally available. In fact, you can have the 4 pegs. That's with Sky Bet, Paddy Power, Betfair, Unibet.
That's lovely.
Yep, they're all paying 4 places and are 10-1. So good stuff, John. Got to keep you on favourable terms to keep hammering that Quentin Franks, that naughty Quentin Franks. Yeah,
I told you the day I want half his steak and I'm chucking it.
We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at the Ebor. See if you're still handing him in a beating. I'll come back to me then before going back to the two that started the show. My 2-point selection goes at Belmont Park tomorrow night, and it's in the Manhattan handicap in the 10:54 race, Grade 1, real big race in America just before the Belmont. I'm very keen on the Charlie Appleby runner, Warren Point. I think they've priced this up terribly wrong, and I'll make the case as to why. This horse really has improved a lot for the application of probably some immense carrots out in Saudi Arabia and stuff. It was very unlucky not to beat Russian Emperor. It was much the best in that race in Doha, over 1.5 miles. And then they sent it to the Man of War at Belmont, where it went off a very heavily backed 3-5 favourite under the Sardine, who rode it like he clearly either didn't give a fuck or just whatever. It was just it was a terrible ride. The horse didn't help him early by just missing the kick slightly, but I find his middle race move absolutely bizarre. Down the back straight, he just decided, right, I'm going to take it. He was quite keen, but that's the kind of horse he is. So he took him out, massive middle move, circled the field, just about got level with the front runner, but then paid the price and just started to fade in the last sort of half furlong to furlong. So he could completely strike that run. Obviously, Red Knight and Soldier Rising reoppose on worse terms. And not just that, the market leader up to the mark ran really well last time, big figure. But when you consider the second in that missed the break badly, Hong Kong Harry got into a terrible position early, I think that just flatters him slightly. And when you consider that Warren Point gets £6 from him, gets £4 from Ottoman Fleet, which they met at Newbury last autumn in that handicap at Newbury where Marching Army won. Ottoman Fleet was second, 9 stone 3. Warren Point was third with 9 stone 6. Warren Point was giving Ottoman Fleet 3. Now gets 4. He's £7 better off for 2 lengths. I think Warren Point's improved more than Ottoman Fleet. He's gone more forwards, I believe, despite Ottoman Fleet winning quite well last time at Belmont and beating Poker Face at Newmarket, which is good form. It's not amazing form. And on official ratings, Warren Point is rated £1 higher. So how is 1 2-1? Is it because Will Buick's chose it? That doesn't worry me because Richard Mullen has rode Warren Point before out in Saudi Arabia. So that doesn't, I'm not interested in that factor. I generally think 7-1 is a rick. I will be 7-2. So I'm going to go 1 point each way, bit of an each way wanker this week. I am. That's with Bet365, Ladbrokes and Coral. So that's my second best bet over in the USA. Jack Veach.
So, yeah, like yourself, Lee, found it tough fare this weekend. So we're all the way to Sunday, I'm afraid, in the 3:20 at Goodwood, the Agnes Keezer, which looks an interesting renewal. I mean, as a listed race goes on ratings themselves, we've not got many particularly high-rated fillies in here. But I know we've only had one firm price this up, so fairly conscious that we don't want to take the piss. But on what I'm looking at the minute, I mean, the John and Slim Alice Sifa has been thrown in at evens by William Hill, which, I think she won a very moderate novice last time out, won it very impressively. But, I'm quite keen to take her on. Sumo Sam is in there at second fav at the minute. I don't like the form there at all. I think that rating in 98 is pretty false. So a bit of split stake wankering for me. There's 2 I want to keep on side here. Empress Wu being one of them. I thought she looked decent on return at the Musadora. Didn't particularly run a great race, but I think she'll be one that will come on this year. O'Sheen in the saddle, which is always nice to see when particularly when Spencer's getting jocked off, which is always good. And I see they've gone with the first time headgear. Hopefully that will settle her down a little bit, but I think that's a filly with promise. And the other I want to keep on side is Conservationist, which is another filly I've put up and was 101 last time out at Haydock.
Yes.
Was very, very frustrating stuff. A little bit surprised they're not trying to make some more work out of the handicap mark of 89, but in all honesty, this looks a very weak listed race. And the angle really was those 2 to keep on side. Quite keen to take on the top 2 in the market. Obviously, we'll see what happens when more firms price up on Sunday, but was quite happy with a 1 point win stake on the pair.
So just tell listeners what your plan is. So it's 1 point win Conservationist.
Yeah, 1 point win Empress Wu.
1 point win Empress Wu. So split stakes for Jack. Currently priced at 10s Conservationist 7 Empress Woo with Hills. We'll try and be fair with Jack on a sort of medium price when everybody opens up. Thank you, Jack, for your Raymond van Barneveld. Andy Richmond, finish the round.
Right, I'm back to Haydock again.
you love it. You absolutely
support your local track. You won't be surprised to say that it's not on the straight track. Whichever straight track they run it on, because while I think of it, before I forget, the Racing Post site says that it's going to run on the inner track, which they're running on this evening, and the BHA site says they're running on the stand side track. So it might be worth checking that in the morning.
Bloody hell. It's unbelievable.
There is definitely a difference of opinion there as to which of the straight tracks they are using tomorrow. So might be worth checking that, because I've just checked it. I've just double checked it again while Jack was giving out his very good explanation of his split staking on Sunday, and it definitely says on the BHA site that the Saturday meeting or the straight track is the stand side track, and the Racing Post site has it down as the inner track.
Useless.
Make of that what you will. Hey ho. They managed to get 4 non-runners this afternoon at Brighton, didn't they?
Absolutely. That was incredible. Like,
no one. It'll be like the government though. Nobody ever gets fined. It's not their fault, is it? Yeah. No. Some poor sod who goes 1 strike over in a poxy cellar just because it was 2, he gets a 14-day ban. Jimmy Sullivan. Ridiculous.
Indeed.
So they've managed to hide that page quite well. Hey ho, never mind. I'll keep tweeting it every week. Right, 2 points. 4:45. Just bring it. I was hoping that the Sparks Fly, who was on a 5-timer, was going to make the market for this one, but it doesn't look like that's going to pay off. She's on very much quicker ground. Plus, she's off a mark of 87, up £10 for last win. Whereas Just Bring It has run some good races of late. I think if you look at his 2nd of 11 to Chelsea Green at Newmarket, that was a very good run. And then the one that really caught my eye, I think I mentioned him last time out, when he was 4th of 11 behind Cove in the Silver Bowl over course and distance. And if you watch that race, he got checked badly about the 2 furlong marker and got hampered again close home. Now, both of those efforts were promising in much, much stronger races than this one. And Just Bring It, he ought to go close. I'll be very disappointed if he doesn't go very close in this. The price is collapsing as I speak. I think there was a smidgen of 9-4 left, but I think you'd probably be fair enough if it was 2-1. But I'll have a couple of points win on Just Bring It.
Let's have a look. Yeah, you can have 9-4. That's with Hills and Bet365. So, as Andy says, this looks a very interesting horse. Shame, obviously, that the original price of sort of 7-2 was unrealistic. Yeah, but 9-4, I agree with you, Andy. I think that's still a bet. And yeah, thanks for that 2 points win for Andy on Just Bring It in the finale at Haydock tomorrow. Okay, let's kick off the 3-pointers, chaps. I'm going first. Me. It's all about me. But but let's fuck somebody over. Yeah, we love it. We love fucking people over here. Let's fuck Neville over. Yes. 245 Catterick. Oh, so chic. 20-1 generally available. 25 if you're fortunate enough to have a Port Vale account. Other than that, take the 20s. It's monstrous about this mare winning this race. I was waiting for the prices on this and thought, well, we'll go about 5s, 11-2. No. 20s and 25s. Incredible value. Monstrous, in fact. This mare has got to have it on top of the ground, really. Certainly no worse than good to soft. Would need it good to soft or better to act. It was too deep for a red car, yet she ran an absolute blinder for Nev. And if you remember, this mare was running second to his horse last autumn. So what did Nev do? He went out and bought it in the January sales for Mike John of Racing Training Management. So sorry, Mike John, we're having the fucking 20s. He might say fuck you Keys tomorrow, who knows? But no, I'm sure the vicar Nev Ender will do us all bar stewards a turn on this one. 20-1 is absolutely ginormous. It's Christmas, and that's my 1.5 point each way. Again, I'm wankering because I'm thinking, well, that price, I can win the 60, but I can have the 4-1 a place. Incredible price. Yeah, they've got that completely wrong. So I've kicked us off with a belter there at 20s. Jack Veach.
Yeah, Lee, I'm pretty confident about my 3-point selection here. We do go back to Haydock again for a sins, but I'm very confident here. It's the 3 o'clock, the Leicester Piggott Stakes, and we're looking at Mimic You, who I think ran a very promising race on reappearance. Kieran O'Neill was absolutely weak as piss in the finish, in all honesty. They had to get her going quite early, but I thought she showed a decent amount of heart, really, to have been cajoled along pretty early on in the race. And I think she's still the filly she was last year, and will certainly come on bounds for that. I know she's got to give £5 to Time Lock and Madara here. She beat Time Lock last year, and I don't see that £5 being a particular issue. Madara won a pretty tin pot race last time out by a considerable distance, but I think the price is just purely wrong here. I make Mimic You a clear favourite. You've got the Sardine back on board, which is definitely a jockey upgrade, and I think this race is well within her reach. I think she's at least Group 2 / Group 1, in all honesty. So really surprised to see the sort of 7-2 on offer here, and a very, very confident 3-point selection. Yeah,
I mean, were you surprised, Jack, at how weak in the betting she was last time? Like, it was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I was, and I assumed she'd be out the back of the telly, but I thought she ran a very, respectable race on reappearance, and I think she'll come on bounds for that. And I think, people might have been put off by the fact she's got to give £5 away here, but I just don't see that being an issue. I think, she'll be fine on the ground, and I think she's far better than these. So, was really surprised to see that price. I mean, I don't see that holding. I think she'll go off favourite. I'm pretty confident about that.
Interesting. 7-2 for Xhaka. With 3 points. Very confident he is, and probably rightfully so. I like his reasoning, and there must have been either a problem or a negative that day for her, probably fitness-wise or anything, because she was so weak in the betting at York. So yeah, Jack is stepping forward with Mimic You at 7-2. Cheers, mate, for that. Andy Richmond.
Jack probably doesn't read the old rubbish that I write, but because he's a far better judge than me on the flat.
Definitely not.
But I'm going to go with one of his, or one of mine, actually. Bacento, 410.
Wow, Claxon.
I think it's got a great chance. I mean, Jack said all about his form last year. I think the form this year is good. I actually put him in the old BTB column when he was 7th at Newmarket on good to soft ground. And he ran a fair race that day. The 6th came out of that. I also shoved in the old column. Burdett Road ran a fantastic race on when was it, Thursday at Newbury? When he won.
It did. Pissed up.
Yeah, absolutely pissed up. And a very good ride for Neil Callan, because I thought he'd got away from him in the end. But Bacento, then they ran him, that was over a mile. They then ran him over a mile again at Ascot on soft ground. And he was actually second about 100 yards out and just faded away. I think a mile's too far for him. I wrote at the time, I moved back in handicap company to 7 furlongs. Lo and behold, he's back to 7 furlongs tomorrow on some better ground. 3 points win Bacento.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Look, we love a Claxon. We need Nev's asthmatic horse back for our Claxons. But I mean, that made the show. Poor Nev. We binned him off because it's flat season time, and Nev's obviously a national hunt judge. But he's running them on the flat. He should be on the show, tipping his up. Anyway, I've done it for him. 4-1, Bacento for Andy to complete the Claxon with Jack, and hard to disagree with those two on that one. 4-1, generally available also. Jonas, finish us off.
Don't put the asthmatic horse back in the stable.
Here we go.
I'm at Goodwood on Sunday. Jack knows what's coming. Empress Well needed the run in the Musadara to knock the fizz off her. I was hugely impressed with how she wintered and how well she initially picked up when the pace quickened. If you watch it when the camera's side on from the fort of the three pole, she was picking up just about as well as Soul's sister. Obviously, she didn't maintain the effort because she'd been a bit fresh early in Jim's hands, and he couldn't get her to drop it, really, and I think she'd have probably finished a lot closer if he had. She's surely good enough to win one of these. With that said, I expect her to be a much better filly with this summer under her belt. I think she'll be one that does improve with racing. Unlike York last time, though, Goodwood can be handy for a horse that jumps into the bridle and does a bit in the jockey's hands. It makes it easier for them to position them. She could, if things went well, be looking at a really nice prize by the back end. I think this really 3-point win.
Love your confidence there. And we have our second asthmatic horse, 2 Claxons in one show. I feel left out here because it's Andy and Jack and John and Jack and nothing for me. I'm an outcast.
It's all because it's all about you, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's because you went off and did your own podcast.
It is. Yeah.
We all ganged up on you then.
I never looked at Belmont, Lee. I'm sure I'd have picked that one out.
I know. So I'm all left out on the show, but that's probably a good thing.
You know exactly left out. I mean, I'm just back Nebs.
Oh, Mike, John and Nev. Oh, there'll be sun round the paddock tomorrow. Who's took all the 20s?
They'll be withdrawn about 10 minutes before, won't it?
The one thing I know about Nev is, I know for a fact there'll be no shenanigans. There'll be none. They've probably bought her for hurdling. They ate the flat, but I reckon Nev's just like spotted this opportunity and thought, yeah, let's go for it. Right, instead of going through the TV races because they're all shit, not totally shit like us, but shit, we thought we'd do any other business this week because it's rather tiresome going through telly races that really belong, I don't know, they're rubbish.
Belong on the radio.
Yeah, video killed the radio star.
Should have Peter Bromley commentating on them.
Yeah.
Listeners using their imagination.
Yeah, indeed.
To bring back the Extel commentaries, use your imagination with them.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the old staring at the box in the corner. That's the most, like, the ridiculous thing, what we do as humans. So why did we stare at the box in the corner? Why didn't we just sort of, like, look at something else or look at the next race form? Like, everyone was stood looking up at a speaker in the corner.
On that subject, Lee, right, here's something we all do. It's utterly fucking stupid, right? When the batteries are starting to go in the remote and it doesn't respond, we all press the buttons harder, don't we? We all do it, don't we?
Yeah. Come on, work.
And then we generally give it a crack on the chair arm and then expect it to work.
Don't you swap the batteries over or turn them round or something?
But only after you've pressed the buttons really hard, Andy.
True, yeah.
That's the first part of the call. You think I'm not pressing these hard enough.
Okay, before we come on to the any other business round, I just want to say sort of a prelude into Sunday's show that we're going to have more fun on the sermon this week. We're going to be talking about sort of 90s and 2000s betting shop characters, the old Betfair forum characters. A lot of fun poking rather than the usual like moaning and groaning, because we like to mix it up a bit. So just to wet your whistle on this, is that what John's just said reminded me as when I was a betting office manager, when they first introduced the fruit machines, when it was a yes-no gamble, you'd actually have people saying, yeah, you don't press it like that. You have to press it lightly. Yeah. It's a technique. They used to think it was a technique to like win the yes-no gamble. You know, double your money, yes, no. And they press the button lightly and say it works every time. If you press it light, if you press it hard, it don't work. If you press it light, it works.
Weren't there a geezer who always told you to do the nudges in a certain order as well when you
them
in the pub? Oh, you don't want to do it like that.
Yeah, they take over. Come on, mate. I know what I'm doing on this. And it's like...
That's like these OCD buggers with light switches, isn't it, when they're going to bed? And they have about 5 attempts to get the right click on the light switch. Otherwise, they can't go to bed. They can be there all night.
To be fair, the producer won't let me have the sound on an odd number.
Mm-hmm.
True fact.
I get that treatment as well.
Got to be an even number on the sound on the telly.
Oh, that's a gimme.
Yeah.
Never heard that one.
If it's on 11, I have to put it up 1 to 12 or down to 10. I have to choose between.
I wouldn't hear it at that level.
Well, I don't know. I tell you, might be set up wrong, but 10 or 12, or if it's on 11, it's like no.
It's a known factor. If you have it on an odd number, your vertical hold goes.
Anyway, so tune in on Sunday for the sermon, which will be a lot of fun this week. We'll be in the mood for some fun, because in this absolute shithouse of a game, we all need it. Right, on to any other business. I'll kick us off because it's the old boring American racing. Obviously, it's the Belmont Stakes.
Is it actually on? They not...
Yes, they're actually racing
Fogged
tonight. I know, fogged off with the fireworks they sending down from Canada. Disgraceful, Trudeau. So anyway, the Belmont Stakes favourite is Forte at 2-1. I wanted to be against that because I don't like a horse that's had a trouble prep coming into a Belmont. I think it's a no. It's always been a no. Horses have done it in the past, but it's not for me at that price. The problem with this is I would have been really strong on Angel of Empire or Tap It Twice, but both are sort of like grinders and closers. And there's absolutely zero pace forecast in this, which could play into the hands of the old silver fox, Bob Baffert, and his Preakness winner, National Treasure. Now, National Treasure isn't the best horse in the race. It is not. It has got the best numbers, and given a normal race, it shouldn't be winning. But if this gets the easy, that's going to be big, I think, at 6-1 with the wily John Velasquez in the saddle. But the best two horses for me are Angel of Empire and Tap It Twice. And I thought it was interesting that Brad Cox has gone for the blinkers first time on Angel of Empire to probably try and wake it up early and get in a better position. So what I'm probably going to do is have a small bet on Angel of Empire. If they go hard in running, try and cover that stake because you can't get much on Tap It Twice. If they go strong pace, and maybe a back to lay. You know, for you, John, you love a back to lay.
I do.
National Treasure, I think, could be a nice little back to lay in the Belmont. I think that will get the lead, and if it goes the right pace, I think you're in business with that. So that's my Belmont analysis, but I'd be against Forte, the 2-1 favourite for sure. That'd be my lay in the race. I don't like horses coming into it off that sort of preparation. Okay, so that's the Belmont done from me. I've got no other business on the Saturday. John, I'm coming to you for any other business.
All right. Well, talking back to Lays, 130 Beverley, I cannot say anything other than a barrier leading, and I think anybody that's fancying 100 quid to now could just stick 100 up at 11-4 and then lay back at 13-8, something like that.
Yeah.
And have £100 to nout. Again, Beverley, 205, I think Midnight Affairs, not just aptly named, it is also very much capable of winning this. I think the third came out and ran a fine second to LaGuardia. The third from that race is pissed up at Kempton, well backed. Strong farmland, gets weight from the winners, and the price doesn't particularly excite, but again, anybody that likes a fav, I couldn't put them off that. The other good 2-year-old race at Beverley, I think Fusterlandia definitely has the bait in the Kilburn Slide. I can't say this track's out in Kilburn Slide, to be honest. Took ages to get into any sort of rhythm at Mussey, and bait absolute filth. And people are probably reading so much into the fact 1 9 length, you know what I mean? The ones he beat were getting bait 9 length after that. So I think Fusterlandia is a very good bet. I backed that yesterday, actually, for this race.
Is this a stop theme?
No, it's...
Kevin?
Well, yeah, well... the kid's under the cosh, isn't he? Also, Beverley, I think a bit of a quirk. Again, those who like a back to lay, 10-1 here is ridiculous. He's definitely the only one that's going to go forward. You can have 3 points to now here after a furlong, I'm sure of that. But, anything else? Yeah, I did actually like Placento.
That could have been a fog-on.
Yeah, I was in tail minds and I did leave him out. I think dropping to 7 will be a particular help to him, actually. Yeah, I like Placento.
Yeah, because dropping in trip, you know for a fact they'll be positive. They'll be very positive.
Yeah, and that's what's required here, isn't it? So
it is. I do like Jack and Andy's reasons. Yeah, I do. Yeah, no, good stuff, John. Thank you for that. I hope you punters might have resonated with some of John's reasons there for Saturday. Andy Richmond.
Well, find out. The first thing we need to do is find out what track we're running on at Haydock. But we'll still be playing the Haydock Draw Bingo, won't we?
Yes.
So the 150 did intrigue me, but it is a bit of a guessing game over 6 furlongs. Silver Samurai won this last year off 92. He's off 95 this year. They put the cheekies on the first time out. He's a bit of a hound, but he's a good hound when everything goes. But the one I like the best in that, I know we were sort of 4th or 5th, or probably 5th on my list actually because of the draw bingo, was All the King's Men with our friend Mr. Bowie from last week with Novello. Well done, John, with that one, even though the stalls didn't open for half of them, but we won't go there. I'm not going there. I'm not having an argument about that. But he's in stall 9, and David O'Mara's got a really good record in this race. He's won it 3 times in the last 7 years. He's got Nomadic Empire. I mean, the horse, like most of the yard, are yet to hit form, but he does like this race. So that was an interesting race. Done most of the other Haydock card. The 3:35 couldn't work it out. The first 3 in the betting, the Astrologist, Jumbie and El Caballo, all come into this off performances that left question marks. And the only other one I thought at Beverley, were the 240, Hugo Gregory, always goes well round here. Probably needs a bit more of a positive ride than he got last time out. It's absolutely thrown in on some of its old form. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't go close tomorrow. But apart from that, it's all a bit ropey, although I didn't get as far as Belmont or the Belmont.
Yeah, I actually looked at Hugo Gregory to sort of like open it price also, we can have a little place only bet on Hugo, because I don't mind them. Like you say, Andy, he's well handicapped.
I mean, he's just thrown in at the moment. I mean, he didn't run bad. It's not like he's well handicapped and there's sort of way, he's not really shown. No, like you see some horses are well handicapped and they're like £20 under with it. They haven't done anything recently, but at least the spark is still there, I think, and he showed it last time out. It's not a great price, but it's not a great race. And I agreed with Johns in the 3:15. But I can't even pronounce the bloody horse. But the one that Stotty's on, yeah. But I think that's about it. I did have a look at the jumping stuff. There's not really an awful lot of banger. There's a few bits and pieces. A few horses I've got earmarked, but they all sort of it's one of those races irritatingly when you've had 2 horses earmarked and they end up clashing in the same race. So probably leave that card alone, and the rest of it was, as you say, it's probably about the weakest Saturday. I don't know what they do with premierisation on this Saturday. We wouldn't have anything on. We wouldn't have anything on in the slot. We'd have Haydock on its own, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Have an episode of Minder on for an hour or something like that.
Or Big Deal.
Big Deal with Robbie Box.
They've never shown that again, have they? Big Deal. It's absolutely brilliant. The only one. Now there was a betting shop with Gill.
Yeah. Gill's betting shop. Yeah, taking bets on the strap. I loved it.
Yeah, you should do a show on old 70s, 70s and 80s. I think it was 80s, wasn't it?
80s.
Yeah. Sweeney would be in that as well.
Class seller. Right. Thank you, Andy. Jack, finish us off.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Lee. I've taken my sights over stateside. I've had enough of our stuff this weekend, and the couple of races that you mentioned, actually. So the Manhattan, I was quite with Ottoman Fleet, if I'm being honest with you, but I like your angle on Warren Point as well. So I'd be quite keen to split stake the 2. Quite keen to take on the favourite, really. I don't think he's able to give weight to these 2. Ottoman Fleet pissed up last back end at Newmarket, and I just had that down as one that would improve this year. I know he had a bit of a middling Maidan campaign, but he's done well since. I thought 2-1 was skinny enough, but as a split stake wankering, I was quite happy to play the pair. Certainly like your case on Warren Point as well. And in the Belmont itself, completely against Forte. The one thing I like about the Yank racing is that you get quite a good bit of insight into their work, and I don't know if anyone else caught it, but this Forte did a bit of work and stumbled quite markedly at the end of that. And I just don't think the horse is right, and really keen to take it on that basis. I'm not quite sure why they're bothering with it, to be honest. And like you said, my angle was that I think Filthy Bob might get a freebie off the front and might be hard to catch. But I think
Filthy Bob, I like that.
Filthy Bob, and the two that would probably get closest or perhaps overtake would be Tappet Trice or Angel of Empire. So I think a bit of a forecast play on the 3 of those is probably gonna get you a bit of clover at midnight tomorrow night when you've done the bollocks on the rest of our stuff.
Yeah, forecast trifecta superfecta.
Yeah, exactly.
We all love it. Let's spin it up. Let's spin the winnings up, because we're all going to be cashed up tomorrow. Right. We hope you've enjoyed that, folks. We're back on Sunday as normal, and it's some exciting times for the Bar Stewards Head. We're trying to produce more content via Patreon, so it is worth subscribing, because we will get better, we will improve. Lots of angles that you'll never get anywhere else. You don't get it with the Racing Post, and we're a fraction of the price. So make sure you top up your Patreon subscription and help us produce more fantastic content for you to make profits from your racing. That's all from me, John, Andy, and Jack. Bye for now.